The highly advanced coalition forces, composed of multiple alien species, initiated their invasion of Earth with the utmost confidence. After all, they had conquered countless worlds, each one presenting its own unique challenges, but none that their superior technology and military might couldn't overcome. Earth was just another death world in a long line of hostile planets, and the coalition believed that its inhabitants, while dangerous, were vastly outnumbered and outgunned. However, as the alien armies advanced into Earth's northern regions, they encountered something they had not prepared for: winter. Unlike anything they had ever experienced, the winter was a brutal force of nature that immediately began to take its toll on the alien invaders. The snow fell in thick, unrelenting sheets, piling up faster than they could clear it. The winds howled across the frozen landscapes, carrying with them sub-zero temperatures that seemed to pierce through the alien soldiers' armor like needles of ice. For species like the Thraxians, who were evolved for life in arid desert climates, the cold was unbearable. Their reptilian physiology, adapted to conserve moisture and thrive in intense heat, was ill-equipped for the freezing conditions. Their scales, which acted as a natural defense in the dry deserts of their homeworld, provided no insulation against the frigid air. Within hours of the first blizzard, Thraxian soldiers began to suffer from frostbite, their limbs stiffening as their blood thickened in the cold. The Vralics, amphibious warriors from the humid jungles of Wytal, found themselves in an equally dire situation. Their species, with its slick, water-retentive skin, had evolved in a world where temperatures never dipped below tropical levels. The icy winds and freezing rain that swept across the alien camps caused their skin to crack and split, leaving them vulnerable to infection and immobilized by the pain. Many Vralics, unable to maintain their body heat, succumbed to hypothermia within days of entering the frozen battle zones. The coalition commanders, who had initially been so sure of their superiority, quickly realized that their forces were in grave danger. Their advanced technology, while impressive in combat, was never designed to withstand the relentless cold of Earth's winter. Energy shields faltered as their power sources froze, communication systems malfunctioned in the extreme temperatures, and the alien soldiers' advanced armor, meant to protect them from plasma fire and high-impact projectiles, was no match for the bitter cold that seeped through every joint and seam. The logistical nightmare worsened as supplies, meant to sustain the vast armies, froze solid before they could be distributed. Food rations turned to blocks of ice, fuel reserves became useless, and medical supplies, essential for treating frostbite and hypothermia, were consumed at an alarming rate. The alien soldiers, who had expected to be waging war against human resistance, found themselves locked in a battle for survival against Earth's unforgiving winter instead. Panic began to spread through the ranks as the aliens struggled to adapt. Morale plummeted as the soldiers, many of whom had never seen snow before, realized that they were ill-prepared for the conditions. The coalition forces, once a formidable, organized military machine, began to fracture under the pressure. Alien commanders sent desperate requests for reinforcements and cold weather gear, but the supply lines, already stretched thin, were unable to meet the demand. And as the coalition armies dug in, attempting to wait out the worst of the storms, they realized that they were facing not just a military defeat, but an environmental one. To the alien forces, Earth's winter was nothing short of a death sentence. The cold was relentless, the snow was blinding, and the ice made every step a treacherous ordeal. Yet, as they struggled to survive, they watched in disbelief as the humans, the Deathworlders, moved through the winter landscape as if it was just another day. These humans, with their thick, insulated clothing and specialized winter gear, seemed unfazed by the very conditions that were crippling the coalition armies. The alien soldiers could hardly comprehend what they were seeing. Humans were supposed to be a dangerous species, yes, but it was their aggressive nature, their cunning, and their adaptability that had earned them that reputation, not their ability to thrive in such extreme conditions. The cold should have been a mutual enemy, one that both the invaders and defenders would have to contend with. Yet, as far as the aliens could see, the humans barely seemed to notice the bitter chill in the air. Human troops trudged through waist-deep snow with grim determination, their breath visible in the freezing air but their pace unbroken. Some carried heavy packs filled with supplies and ammunition, while others pushed through blizzards, seemingly at ease with the icy wind cutting across their faces. They set up camps in the middle of howling snowstorms, constructing sturdy shelters in record time, lighting fires, and gathering around them for warmth. Alien scouts observed these camps from a distance, reporting back to their commanders in disbelief. The humans, they said, appeared to be enjoying the snow. They drank hot liquids later identified as something called coffee and sat around laughing and talking, while the alien soldiers were struggling to survive inside their heated, high-tech facilities. The contrast was shocking. Where the alien armies were faltering, the humans were pushing forward, unafraid of the winter's wrath. The coalition commanders, who had never seen anything like it, tried to make sense of what they were witnessing. On planets where the environment was hostile, most species would retreat or find ways to avoid the worst of the conditions. But here, on Earth, it was as if the humans were part of the landscape itself, moving with the snow, thriving in the cold. Human adaptability became a legend among the alien forces. Reports from the front lines told of human soldiers who could build shelters in minutes using nothing but snow and branches, creating structures that kept them warm even in sub-zero temperatures. Others spoke of humans who navigated through the wilderness with ease, using ancient survival techniques passed down through generations. It was clear that Earth's winter, which had crippled entire alien battalions, was nothing more than a challenge that humans had mastered long ago. Even more unsettling to the alien commanders was the humans' ability to fight in these conditions. Coalition soldiers, weighed down by their armor and equipment, could barely move through the deep snow, their weapons malfunctioning in the cold, their bodies slow to respond in the freezing temperatures. But the humans were swift, agile, and deadly. They camouflaged themselves in the snow, blending into the white landscape with ease, launching ambushes from seemingly nowhere. The alien soldiers would march forward, only to be attacked from the sides by humans who appeared out of the blizzard, striking with precision before disappearing again into the snow. The humans used the winter to their advantage in ways that the alien forces could not understand. They set traps that took advantage of the frozen terrain, forcing the coalition soldiers into vulnerable positions where their machines and technology would falter. Alien scouts reported seeing human soldiers skiing or using other strange devices to move quickly across the snow, a tactic that allowed them to outmaneuver their enemies with ease. For the alien soldiers, watching the humans operate in these conditions was like witnessing something out of a nightmare. Their sensors could barely track the humans, as the cold seemed to interfere with their technology. Every step they took was fraught with danger, as the humans used the terrain to launch surprise attacks from the most unexpected angles. The invaders had thought they were fighting a conventional war, but what they faced in the winter wilderness was unlike any battle they had ever known. As the coalition forces struggled to maintain their foothold in Earth's northern regions, the humans shifted their tactics, transforming what had initially been a defensive struggle into an aggressive and relentless campaign of guerrilla warfare. The alien commanders had hoped that the brutal cold would slow all military activity on both sides, allowing them time to regroup and reconsider their strategy. Instead, they were met with a horrifying reality: the humans were using the winter not just to survive, but to gain the upper hand. The human forces, now well acclimated to the freezing conditions, began launching coordinated raids on the alien supply lines and outposts, taking full advantage of the snowstorms and blizzards that made visibility nearly impossible. Coalition convoys, carrying essential food, fuel, and medical supplies to the front lines, found themselves under constant attack from small, highly mobile groups of human soldiers. These guerrilla fighters moved with terrifying efficiency, striking in the dead of night or in the midst of blinding snowstorms, when the alien forces were at their weakest. The humans seemed to melt into the white landscape, their insulated clothing and natural understanding of the environment giving them a lethal advantage. Coalition troops, already demoralized by the cold, found themselves constantly on edge, their nerves frayed by the uncertainty of when the next attack might come. The aliens' advanced machinery, once thought to be invincible, was failing under the harsh conditions. Tanks and armored vehicles became bogged down in the deep snow, their engines seizing up in the cold. Energy weapons, designed for high-heat combat, malfunctioned as their circuits froze or shorted out in the extreme temperatures. Even the most basic functions of their armor suits meant to keep the soldiers warm and protected were compromised by the freezing weather, leaving the alien soldiers more vulnerable with each passing day. In contrast, the humans seem to have mastered the art of making do with less. Their weapons, though less technologically advanced, worked flawlessly in the cold, relying on simple mechanical systems that were unaffected by the freezing temperatures. They moved with ease through the treacherous landscape, using skis, snowshoes, and even improvised sleds to cover vast distances in a fraction of the time it took the alien forces to navigate the same terrain. Human engineers repurposed materials on the battlefield, turning broken-down vehicles into makeshift shelters and crafting tools from whatever they could scavenge. The alien commanders who had relied so heavily on their technological superiority found themselves at a complete loss. Every piece of coalition equipment was designed for efficiency and precision, but none of it was built to endure the sheer brutality of Earth's winter. What the humans lacked in high-tech weaponry, they more than made up for in adaptability and resourcefulness. The coalition's logistical operations, already stretched thin by the long supply lines back to their homeworlds, began to break down entirely under the relentless pressure of the human assaults. And it wasn't just the raids that terrified the alien forces. The humans used the landscape itself as a weapon, setting traps and ambushes in the most unexpected places. They lured coalition patrols into narrow mountain passes, where avalanches would bury entire squads beneath tons of snow and ice. They dug deep trenches that allowed them to hide from alien drones, emerging only when it was time to strike. In one particularly devastating attack, a group of human soldiers used a frozen river to infiltrate a coalition base, crossing the ice undetected before launching a surprise assault from within the heart of the alien camp. The psychological toll on the alien soldiers was immense. Every sound in the wind, every crack of ice, every gust of snow became a potential signal of human attack. Paranoia set in, with coalition troops constantly fearing that the Deathworlders were lurking just out of sight, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The alien forces, once confident in their overwhelming power, were now reduced to huddling inside their bases, too afraid to venture out into the cold unless absolutely necessary. For the humans, the winter was not just a survival challenge, it had become their greatest ally. The endurance of the Deathworlders, long whispered about in the far corners of the galaxy, now became an undeniable reality to the alien soldiers facing them on Earth. What had once been dismissed as mere legend or exaggeration was now unfolding before their very eyes. Humans, these supposedly fragile creatures from a deadly planet, were showing a level of resilience and adaptability that defied everything the coalition had expected. The alien soldiers watched in awe and growing terror as the humans not only survived the brutal winter but thrived in it, turning every hardship into an opportunity for innovation and victory. Reports from the front lines told of human soldiers continuing their operations without rest, moving through the snow and ice as if they had endless reserves of stamina. While the alien soldiers grew weaker with every passing day, suffering from frostbite, exhaustion, and malnutrition, the humans seemed almost rejuvenated by the harsh conditions. They carried on, seemingly impervious to the freezing temperatures that were killing the alien troops. Coalition scouts reported seeing humans setting up makeshift camps in the most inhospitable locations, using nothing more than their rugged survival gear and an unshakable will to keep going. These humans, it seemed, could endure anything the winter threw at them, while the aliens, with all their technological advancements, were faltering. The alien commanders, who had once believed that the Deathworlders could be broken with superior firepower and tactics, were forced to confront a bitter truth: humans could not be beaten through conventional means. And the harsh environment of Earth, which had forged these beings into the resilient and dangerous species they were, had also equipped them with the mental and physical toughness to endure situations that would break any other species in the galaxy. The humans' ability to keep fighting, even in the face of overwhelming odds and impossible conditions, was not just a display of strength, it was a revelation of their very nature. Alien medics, struggling to keep their soldiers alive in the extreme cold, began to marvel at the humans' ability to adapt. They watched in disbelief as humans treated frostbite with crude but effective methods, sharing body heat, rationing supplies with precision, and using fire as both a tool for warmth and a weapon against the cold. What was even more shocking to the aliens was the humans' ability to turn the very elements that were killing the alien soldiers into resources for their survival. The humans melted snow for drinking water, used the frozen ground as natural insulation, and even found ways to turn ice into defensive structures. For the alien soldiers who were accustomed to relying on technology to meet every need, this level of resourcefulness was utterly incomprehensible. The human capacity for endurance extended beyond mere physical survival. The Coalition soldiers also witnessed an emotional and psychological fortitude that was equally baffling. While the alien forces struggled with fear and despair, demoralized by the unrelenting cold and the constant threat of human attack, the Deathworlders showed no sign of breaking. Even in the darkest moments, as the storms raged and the temperatures plummeted, the humans remained focused, determined, and perhaps most disturbingly to the aliens united. They shared their meager rations, worked together to survive, and in moments of reprieve even found ways to laugh and joke, lifting each other's spirits in the face of what seemed like insurmountable odds. To the alien commanders, this was the final, most unnerving aspect of the humans' endurance. They had expected a species that, like any other, would succumb to the pressures of war and the hostile environment. Instead, they found a people who not only endured but thrived under those conditions, growing stronger with each passing day. The legend of the Deathworlders, once dismissed as a myth, was now a cold, hard truth that the alien soldiers could not escape. Humans, it seemed, were not just surviving the brutal winter, they were thriving in it. As the winter dragged on, it became clear to the alien coalition that they had severely underestimated the humans. The brutal cold that had crippled their forces had only seemed to strengthen the Deathworlders, turning Earth's unforgiving winter into a tool of human victory. While the alien armies struggled to stay alive, the humans moved with a kind of endurance that defied all logic, proving themselves to be the most resilient species the galaxy had ever encountered. In the end, the Coalition's grand invasion plan was reduced to a desperate retreat. What was meant to be a swift conquest had become a prolonged nightmare, where even the environment conspired against them. The humans, with their unmatched adaptability and iron will, had turned the frozen wastelands into a battlefield where no alien technology could match them. The alien commanders, once so confident in their superiority, were left with no choice but to withdraw, forever marked by their failed attempt to conquer the Deathworlders' home. The stories of Earth's winter, and the humans who thrived in it, would spread across the galaxy, forever altering the perception of the species that had once been dismissed as reckless and dangerous. Now they were known as something far more terrifying, a force that could not only survive the deadliest conditions but use them to their advantage, ensuring that no invader would dare challenge them again.